to a higher thought right now. A higher thought, just to explain what that means, that you start climbing from one topic to the next topic to the next topic. Not necessarily will we be able to come back to the original, but you'll clearly see how one thing builds upon the next, and how by going deeper and deeper into the mind, we end up opening up a new way of thinking. We start getting clarity into a place that we never wanted to, that we never felt like we wanted to get to, or we always felt like we wanted to get there, but it was just too complicated for us to get there, and we have to learn how to break it down and articulate it. So let's start with just the word leadership. Okay, we spoke about it in another video. Leadership is when somebody shows up and is brave. It's not about somebody who is the smartest. It's not about somebody who is the most liked. It's somebody who shows up and knows how to lead. Somebody who has that ability and that charisma to change people's minds and take them from one level and raise them to the next, so that they are united in this desire. They are filled with unity to reach the same goal as the leader. Someone with leadership skills, someone with that midah, someone who has worked on themselves and knows what truth is, someone who has found something brilliant at the other side of the tunnel, could come back and say, hey, listen to me. Let me articulate properly what you're going to see on the other side of this tunnel. And now it will be your decision to choose on your own if you want to follow me or not. And the more convincing this leader is, the more of a leader he will become. And we see it in the Torah very clearly. Moshe Rabbeinu explains what Eretz Yisrael is going to look like. Eretz Zavas Chalav Udvash. It's a land of flowing milk and honey. It's a land, you look into Parshas Vaschan Ekev, it's a land that has everything. You could mine you could mine copper out of its stones. It's a land where you're not going to miss anything. The food that you're going to be eating is going to be the richest food. Eretz Ashaloi b'miskenut toichal balechem. A land that you're going to eat bread and you're going to be living al pi Hashem. The rain that comes in Eretz Yisrael is unlike the rest of the world, where it just rains and we get floodings and hurricanes and cyclones. It's a land where Hashem, Inei Hashem Elekecha Tamid Ba, Hashem's eyes look at it properly, constantly, at all times. And once the people understand this message, there's no question in their hearts that that's the place that they want to go. Eretz Yisrael has so many things that we could talk about just to expand our love on it, especially that we have a lot of history in there, so those history stories become part of our legacy, become part of our lineage, and we don't want to live any other place. We want to be there. We want to be part of our ancestry and live that life. So a good leader is somebody who knows how to articulate their words properly. Mashiach will be a person who will be able to articulate properly what we are heading towards. It's a leader that understands what the reason for being on this world is, what it means living with Hashem completely, what it means taking the world that you live in and pushing it aside and saying, I see the physicality, but physicality is meant for me to serve Hashem with. He's going to understand that. He's going to understand what love and affection means towards people, and where did he learn all of that? He learned all of that from connecting and loving the ultimate source of love, which is Hashem. He's going to go through every single subject in this world and know it, because once you go to truth, you realize that Hashem Echad Ishmai Echad. There's only one. There are many subjects in this world. There are trees and there are cars. There are birds and there are humans. There are all types. There's subjects of food and subjects of studying, doctors and all different types of things that you could look at. But ultimately, once you start going into them, you start seeing how they slowly go up until they reach the one. Okay, this is much like a family tree, where you have two people falling in love many years ago, and you have 80 years later where you have to have the entire family of 10 kids, and each of these 10 kids has 10 kids, and each of these 10 kids 5 of them already got married, and they already have a baby of their own, and there you go, you have a family of 200-300 people just out of these 2 people. So we know people in this world, we were born du partsufin. We have 2 faces. We were born zachar unakeva bara oisam. They were created as 2. Because in our world, we need to have things that compare to other things. And we've spoken about this. We need to be able to compare 1 to 2. We need to have a positive and a negative, an up and a down, an odd and an even. Hashem is echad, which means the positive and the negative are all in him. He is the source of everything. He's the source of the ups and the source of the downs. And as we go up, higher and higher and higher, that's where we get to. And we could find ourselves in our life in the complete negative side. We find ourselves being down and depressed and pushed away for such a long time in our life. And then we have to start climbing up and start saying, okay, I went through this problem. This is what I'm dealing with. And now once I start thinking clearly again, I was lost in a cloud of just chasing my own tail for months and months, not knowing how to get out of it, doing things that only make it worse, and following my instincts and my impulses, and just going about doing the wrong thing, and which never gave me time to think of, what am I doing? Why are you doing this? You're ruining your life. And the second we start thinking again, we start climbing higher. And we start saying, wait a second, I see that I have a problem. I have to start dealing with this. And that thought goes away as quick as it came. And then we go back, and then we wake up again. It takes a few days, it takes a few weeks, and then we realize, hey, wait a second, I really got to do something about this. I can't continue on my life in this type of path. And we go and we move up a little bit more, and we work on ourselves. And the thought starts coming sooner and sooner until it becomes our constant magama, our constant goal in our life of every single day. And once we understand that, we start working on creating certain things in our life so that we don't fall again. We do things in order for us to be able to continue the path upwards. And we go and we climb up, and we start pushing ourselves, putting ourselves over into the positive side. We start putting positive into ourselves, and we start balancing out our life. Instead of being completely negative, completely grounded, we have to learn how to raise ourselves into a higher life, into a higher way of thinking. We go up in order to connect to the one. We take all of our problems and we start narrowing it down. What's that one thing I could change in my life? What's that one thing I could go and make a difference and make a change so I could be proud of myself once more? And just with one little action that a person does, they're able to have an effect on everything else. Because all the other problems are only problems because we feel helpless. We feel like we can't help ourselves. But you help yourself with one thing. You take one thing in your life that you decide, this is going to be my work, and I'm actually going to make a change, and I'm going to be the best possible human completing this task. Everything else in your life will become smaller. You start seeing, wait a second, I have a problem with something else. I could do that. I could figure that out. And we ultimately become that one person filled, that all our problems changed into this one greatness that we, for us to call ourselves I am an anoichi. I know who I am. Once we understand who we are, this is a very quick explanation. This could take a year of constant hard work, of constant awareness. But awareness is not our goal. Awareness is one of the steps in our life in order to get ourselves into the higher place of realizing, once I know who I am, and once I understand my weaknesses, and I've admitted to them, and I worked towards being a better person and setting principles in my life, making myself a better human being in every situation in my life, we realize, where did I even get this life? I don't have any questions on why I'm alive. I actually start noticing that I have talents. I'm actually happy. People are happy around me, and I'm enjoying being here. I'm really prospering. But is this the ultimate purpose? We start realizing that there's a purpose for being alive. There's a purpose for being the ultimate human being. Saying, yes, I don't have any problems. I could deal with my issues, and my problems are all sent by Hashem, and for me to understand what I'm capable of. But once I know what I'm capable of, I have to start using that capability and that knowledge into doing something positive. What is that positive thing? So you have people who go into different fields in order to show their capabilities for it to last for a long time. Some people find that by doing kiruv, going to speak to people and changing their life, they see such reward in it. They're like, wow, I'm good at articulating my argument. I'm so good at making people see how to connect to Hashem. So I'm going to go to people who have problems and people who still don't know, and I'm going to explain this to them. So that way them, their wives, their children, and their grandchildren, and generations to come should have a legacy to carry of happiness and purpose. Then you have a different person who says, I'm great with being a heart surgeon. I understand how the heart works and how every artery connects and how every pipe and valve is, where everything is. So they understand that there's meaning in doing that work. They could go and dedicate their life and use their capabilities to making everlasting change. You have writers who write because they want their words to be there. They want people to see their words for generations to come. So if somebody has a bad day, they could open it up and say, hey, this guy knows what he's talking about. He wrote about me. He understood me. And guess what? If he understood me, there must have been many more people in the world that went through similar problems. My problems aren't that big. And now this person is going to be able to take those instructions and raise themselves up. Every person has that oneness to them, that their power that they could put into this world. Now imagine, if all people in the world get together and they say, we're going to band together for one ultimate thing, which means you have all these people who want to do the best. This guy wants to be a doctor, this guy wants to do kiruv, this guy wants to be a businessman, a writer, a father, anything that they want to be, but they're all doing it with the intent of being good and making the lives of different people better. And since they all have this in common, what if they get together and say, what's the purpose of being good? What's the opposite of good? What's the purpose of it? And they start seeing there's good and evil, there's truth and lies. They start going through the dupartzufin, the double face, the positive and the negative of every level. You go higher and higher, you see, and you go between all the midos, the opposite of the midos. You have shalom, and then you have milchama. Then you go up even higher. You have rachman, and then you have achzarius. Then you go even up, chaim and maves, life and death. And then you go even higher to a place called din and rachamim. Din and rachamim is all the way at the top, the tip of the spear, the beginning, the first pulses of positive and negative are din and rachamim. And to understand that, we'll, let's see if I have a metaphor for it. No, I'll just explain it. Din and rachamim work like this. Din says everything has to be judgment. It has to be clear cut, no cutting any corners. It has to be perfect. It has to be exactly how it should be. Which means if somebody did something wrong, they get a punishment. If somebody did something right, they get a reward. It has to be exactly that. It also translates into din means that water and wood make each other grow. If you put water next to a tree, the tree is going to start growing. And if you put fire next to a tree, the tree will burn, because those two things don't work together, because the fire is going to eat up all the oxygen from the tree. And that's not what we want. We want the tree, the oxygen of the tree, to go into the water, and for the water to pass on its air into the tree. And that's how it's going to make it grow. And that din, because din says this is how it's supposed to be. This does this, and this is how science works. And if you mix these two chemicals, they're going to explode. And if you mix these two chemicals, you'll have a great medicine. And we have to know that everything works with din. And we have to understand that this din runs across everything in the world. From everything in the world is nature. And the same thing, if you take nature and you say, I'm going to use copper and iron, I'm going to start creating electricity and making things work, that din follows down into that subcategory of things made through nature. And it just goes on and on, that din needs needs to have its boundaries and needs to be set straight. Then you have rachamim. Rachamim is when you have just freedom. It's like, why should the fire and the tree fight each other? Why should the lion and the sheep kill each other? Why should the lion kill the sheep? Why can't there be harmony? Why can't there be peace? Let everything just be up in the air. Let it flow. And it's a very interesting dynamic to think about it. We have din and rachman. What type of lifestyle are we living? Am I a yeki? Am I rigid? Or am I allowing myself to just be with the flow? And is there a middle way? Is there a way to say, let's take both of these and say, I'm going to have yira and ahava. I'll have both of these in my life and go up to that one core on top, that anoichi Hashem lekecha, Hashem, the one on top, the will that created the world, the will that is above any other will, the will of all wills, the king of all kings. Is there a way to go live with him and say, I'm going to take yira and ahava, I'm going to mix them together, I'm going to be able to be a perfect blend of positive and negative? Is that even possible? Yes, because any person in this world, when we go through our problems, we are filled with negative. And as much work as we do on ourselves, no matter what we try to do in order to make us better people, the catalyst to making us a better person are the things that led us to making that choice. The things that led us to make a choice that we have to better ourselves, those things are, and actually when they were problems, yes, they were tough to deal with. But now that we're taking the lessons out of them, we start making them into beautiful things. And that negative pairs itself with the positive, and now the negative is not just pulling down, it's actually traveling up and down, passing on. The negative gives knowledge to the positive, and the positive goes, and we have good times, and good times make strong people. Good times make, how does it go? Strong people make good times, and good times make weak people. Weak people make weak times, bad times, and bad times make strong people. And this is a cycle, just keeps on going. Positive and negative, keeps on going. And we see it in every facet of life. We see it through time and history, through the generations. You have, in the 1960s, you had hard times, and it brought strong people. And then you had, and they went to the moon, they did things. And then you had strong people brought a down part, where it was good times, so we had weak people. And weak people came and they brought back bad times, and the bad times brought a Reagan, they brought a good time. And then we had the same thing from 2000 all the way to 2024. You could start seeing it clearly how you had bad times, and the bad times we were hoping are going to bring strong people, but those strong people didn't arrive for years. For years we didn't see them. But eventually, on the overall story, we could start seeing, wait, there's actually a full circle coming around. And that's positive and negative. Learning from the lessons, learning from the problems, and taking them all as tests so that we could understand ourselves better. And then we take that and we apply those lessons and we make a positive out of it, and we go up. And that's how we take din and rachman, merge them together in order for us to emulate the path of Hashem, to be one, to be able to live with a oneness. And if we take all the people in the world and we combine all their problems together, and we combine all their positive sides together, and we create this cycle of living as one, we'll be able to get to a place where the entire world will be able to say Hashem Echad, Shmoy Echad. Everybody will say it as one at once and recognize it clearly in their mind. A good leader is somebody who understands this. Someone who understands that people have problems, and their problems don't define them. Their problems will define them once they understand how to learn the lessons of them. And a good leader knows how to guide a person through such a time. Teach them, guide them, raise them so they could know how to live and know what their purpose is in their life. Show them the ultimate goal that we're trying to reach. Show them there's a place for you to be one with yourself. There's a place where you could take all of your problems and turn them into superpowers. A leader who could help another person in that direction and show them, I've been to the other side of this tunnel and I've seen what's happening over there. And I'm telling you, follow my words, follow my path. Come along with me and you will see what's going on. Walk through this path, walk through this cave, and come with me and start seeing how the light becomes stronger and stronger. I hope this thought gave you some insight. There's definitely a lot to unpack, and so many areas that we could have gone, but Hashem wanted you to hear these words. So I'm glad that you took the time out of your day to listen to this. I wish you all the best. Have a wonderful day. No matter what you're going through, remember, there's a place for you in this world. And the problems that you have and the things that you're going through are all meant for you to learn their lesson. They are all tests. And the only way to know that you're having a test is by being mindful. Otherwise, it's just a story in your life. Something happened, somebody punched me, somebody cursed me out, and we don't even know that we don't even realize that we have to do something with it. Start being mindful, start noticing, start thinking, and you'll be able to start climbing, climbing, and climbing, ultimately reaching that one beautiful light at the end. My name is Lemmer. I appreciate so much that you took out of your time to join. I hope to be able to continue this. I would love your support. Check out my books, check out my other videos. Reach me at LemmerHypno@gmail.com. I'm a hypnotherapist. Mindset change. Hopefully my words and my thoughts could help you in some way. If you know someone who could use my services, please have them watch this. Have a good day. Thank you. Be well.